Okay, Mercedes W208. This also applies to the 202, 203, 210, blah blah blah. Rear, front lower control arm, rear control arm bushing. You're going over bumps and you get a clunk. If you've checked the sway bar bushings, the ball joints, and that's not it. It's generally going to be the lower control arm bushing, and it's going to be the rear one. Another way to test it is put your car in reverse, in straight line, back up and hit the brakes fairly hard if you hear a clunk, lower control arm bushing. Also, when in a parking lot or wherever, taking a sharp turn to the left or right, you hear a clunk or your wheels are scrubbing and squealing, that's usually the sway bar bushing as well. Sorry, control arm bushing as well. I've got the car jacked up under the jack pad on the side, wheel off under the car just in case anything happens. It's the last line of defense, blah blah blah. I'm going to be using polyurethane just like I did on the W202. I swapped them out. On the W202, used the polyurethane, and these are great. These are going to last forever and a hell of a lot easier to replace. They're only about $20 more than a regular sway bar bushing, but these don't have to be pressed in. Much easier installation. The lower control arm sway bar, or sorry, lower control arm bushing is the rear one. So when you're on the car, I've got the wheel off, and you've got the lower control arm here. The bushing is right up in there. Kind of hard for you to see in there, but I'll get a better picture of it when we take that out. There's a front and rear. The bolt here. Yeah, trying to put the light on it. 22mm on the front and rear. There is no camber adjustment. There's no adjustment on this particular. The W208 doesn't seem to have a camber adjustment, so there's no eccentric bolt on that. It doesn't appear. Looking at it, I don't see one, so I don't think there is. It doesn't. Front and rear did not appear to be eccentric, so there's no alignment adjustment there, so you can just pull the bolts on and off. So we're going to get to pulling the bolt off. Again, it's pretty simple. There's a front and rear bolt, 22mm front and back, so remove that and then we'll get to the next part. I don't think you need to see me pulling the bolt off. Back in a minute. See if I can shut my camera off. Okay, I noticed as I was just about to take the bolt off that this is an eccentric, so I marked the washer. That's the washer that moves the adjust the camber up and down and the lower control arm up and down for alignment purposes. So mark it front, and this is the rear. So mark it at the rear where it meets the chassis and the washer itself. Mark that front and rear so you can align them back up when you put it back on. And anyway, I'm going to keep removing this bolt and back in a minute. Okay, so I also removed the front engine under tray in case I need to access the front bolt for the front lower control arm. Generally should just have to take off the rear bolt, but you might as well take that off anyway. 48mm bolt to take it off. Excuse me. And from under in front, the front control arm bolt. I'm trying to get light on this for you. Right there. That's a T55 torque socket, and the back, the nut on the back of that is a 22mm. So what you're going to do is loosen this and pull it out partly. Not going to pull it out all the way. You just need to pull this out a little bit so you can get some flex in the front lower control arm in the front bushing. The front bushings rarely ever wear out. But anyway, I'm trying to get some. I'll show you what I'm doing in a second. Anyway, I'm just a little out of breath from hammering on something else for a second. Trying to do 4 things at once here. Anyway, so that bolt is loosened and pulled slightly. God, sorry about the light. The bolt is loosened and pulled slightly out, not all the way out, just enough to give movement, which I'll show you in a few. Also, just for a second, just for safety's sake, I put coil spring compressors on the coil spring. I'm not removing the coil spring, not pulling it out. I'm just putting them on there in case something drastic happened and that front bolt slipped out, popped out, and the spring would, all the force would be pushing down on the front control arm. I'm doubting it's going to happen, but I'm putting it there just in case. And I'll show you what. Let me set this camera up. Where the hell am I looking? Okay, there we go. So you've got the rear lower control arm here, and bushing. And now with the pry bar, I'm just going to, since we took some pressure off by removing that bolt in the front bushing, we'll be able to pry this down enough to be able to get in there and use a hacksaw to cut the old bushing out, and then slide the new bushing in. If you're pressing in a bushing, you're obviously not going to be able to do this. You're going to have to take the entire thing apart, take the whole control arm out if you're pressing a bushing in. But this way I'm not doing that, so I don't have to worry about that. And again, I'll show you, because of the front bushing, you have enough room to play in there. So anyway, camera battery's dying. I gotta charge this, and I will show you the rest in a minute. Okay, my camera battery wouldn't charge, so I had to go ahead and skip a few steps on you. Basically, this bushing, the center bushing, there's obviously, like the W202, there's a metal inner sleeve, but this one's a bitch to get out, let me tell you. You got to drill. I had to drill through the rubber and everything, because this is, you could just heat it up if you want to, but you can't because it's fluid filled. It's got oil in there. You can see the, you can't see the oil, it's too dark. Anyway, it's fluid filled. And so basically I just drilled a bunch of holes around the circumference and then jammed a screwdriver in and finally dug the sucker out. It took me about 45 minutes. So this is the center chunk that finally came out. And now I can take a hacksaw blade, insert it through here, hook it back to the hacksaw, and then cut through the sleeve of the inner sleeve of the bushing, and then tap that out, which is what I'm going to do now. My camera battery is freaking dying again. I don't know why it's not charging, but it is not. So, God, crappy light, it's like, can you see my breath blown over the camera? It's like -3 here. It's not fun. I'm going to be taking a hacksaw blade and sticking it through. Sorry. And then hooking it back to the hacksaw and cutting off. You can use a Sawzall. I can't get my Sawzall under here, I don't think, I can't get a good straight line on it. Actually, I'll probably try it anyway to see if I can get a good straight line. You just have to go straight across. When you're cutting, you want to go straight across. You don't want to be at an angle because you might cut through the outer part of the lower control arm, which you don't want to do. So it's pretty, I mean, it's metal. It's going to cut with a hacksaw pretty easy. Anyway, I'm going to cut that bushing out and hopefully I have enough camera battery left to show you that in a few minutes. But this is where we're at. This is why we, again, this is pushed down, pried down. I've got a pry bar up here just holding it in place. And that's why we lowered, took out the bolt on the front so that we could get this room to push it down without taking the whole control arm off. Again, the spring is just held in place with spring compressors, not because I'm taking it out, but just in case something stupid goes wrong. There was no reason not to put them on there. And I have another jack under the lower control arm just in case as well. But anyway, yeah, this isn't fun, but actually, yeah, it is. Anyway, I'll be back. Okay, apologize, my camera died and I had to wait a couple hours for it to recharge, so it's not like 11 o'clock at frickin' night. It's minus, there goes the breath. It's like -3, so it's real fun. Anyway, I've now got the inner sleeve of the bushing cut here. You can see I cut it with the hacksaw and you can see the two parts, so this will easily just pop out. There, you can see it moving there. See the whole chunk. So that's just going to push out the opposite direction. And then I'm going to pop the new bushing in. One thing to tell you on these, on this bushing, there was no visible damage like on the W202 when I did that, or I think I did a W210 once. Anyway, there was no visible damage outside on the rubber, but it was definitely clunking. And this thing, I think what had worn out is one of these plastic pads, because it was moving up and down inside. I think where it wore out was inside, where it's attached in there by the rubber all the way around. Very hard to tell externally that this bushing was gone. So looking at it, you couldn't really tell that it was gone. But once I pull, I mean, it was definitely gone. There's going to be a definite difference in this. But anyway, enough talking. I'll get back to work. I'm going to pop this out and pop the other one in, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. Okay, so there's the bushing hole completely cleaned out. Here's the new silicone bushing. We're going to put this in from the back because you wouldn't be able to put it in from the front. On these things, front and back doesn't really matter anyway, but put them both in from the same side, and that's going to be the back. It's covered in the lubricant that came with it. I'm going to hit the camera here. Hold on. I'm going to get my rubber hammer. Cock! Son of a... Oh, good. Only one little spot. My rubber hammer and bang bang Maxwell this sucker in. Oh, come on. Okay, I can't do this around the camera. I have to move the camera. I will be back in 2 seconds. Okay, so new bushing in. If you're doing this, make sure to, if you're doing it minus 4 degree weather like I am, make sure to warm up the grease that comes with the bushing. Just keep it in your pocket while you're doing everything else, so it'll be nice and warm, the lubricant that comes with the bushings, or else it'll just be a sticky mess like the first one was. I had to warm it up before I put it in. Anyway, now we're basically back to we're looking from the rear. I put the pin back in. Take the pin out before you hammer the bushing in. It'll just make it a little bit easier. And hammer it with a rubber hammer, or if you don't have a rubber hammer, put a piece of wood on it. Don't hit it with a metal mallet or anything. Now we're basically just gonna put everything back to normal. I'm gonna grab the I'm gonna pull this this wedge out of there and put the bolts all back in, take everything off, and Bob's your uncle. Line up those alignment marks, and you're probably going to need to go get an alignment after this. I know I did with the W202. I'm more than likely going to have to here, but making those little match marks on the eccentric bolts will just get it as close as possible so you don't wear your tires out on the way to the alignment shop. And give yourself about 2 hours per side. Maybe an hour and a half. Not that bad, not great when it's freezing cold out, but not all that bad anyway. Anyway, thanks for watching. Okay, and lastly, once all the bolts are back in, which they are, takes a little bit of fiddling to get them lined up and everything, but it's no big deal. Put a jack underneath the control arm, the lower control arm, take the weight off the car, jack it up until it's basically coming off of the jack stand that you're using, taking the pressure off so it's simulating the weight of the car on the suspension, and you're going to torque the lower control arm bolts to between 85 and 90 foot-pounds, or 120 newton meters, and torque on the nut side. Always torque on the nut side, not the bolt side. And that's about it. That's what I've got to do now, and that's about all. Thanks for watching.